Mm, mm.
Hello, 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 everyone. It is Thursday night, 8:30, and you are on Perspective. And as we do every time at the top of our show, um, Perspective. You want to know what our platform is about? It's found right there in the name, Perspective. This is a safe place, a safe tree, if you will. This is a place that we can have open, honest, and I would say mature discussions about any topic. We all know that we have different perspectives, different ideas, different opinions, points of views, lived experiences, and many times there can be some conflict there. We don't believe that that is necessarily the need or really the point. Just because we have a different view of something, it doesn't mean that you're right and the other person's wrong. The other person's right and you're wrong. It just simply means that it's different. And when we can discuss our differences in I think, a healthy and mature way, it actually brings us closer as individuals, then ultimately brings us closer as a community. And this will bring us closer as a world. And that is what we aim to do here on Perspective. With that being said, I am Eric Butler, aka the Intellect, aka Cullinan 8, because I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land. I'm 3,000 plus carats, y'all, aka the Atlantic, because I'm cold, deep, and choppy, and it ain't nothing nobody can do about it. I have been known to be in the recruiting space. I'm a corporate recruiter and have been in that space for over 18 years now, and that has led me into different spaces and places to do consulting, career consulting, and sometimes just helping people in general life, sharing what I know, what I've experienced, and what I've done. I'm out in the community through a financial literacy nonprofit called the Empower Series. I sit on the advisory board of that. So I do encourage you to go out and check out the Empower Series, and just like, share, do all that nice social stuff. Take a look at some of the information on our YouTube page. I promise you will find it beneficial. With that being said, and that has also led me to the seat that I'm in now, and to being in a very favorable place because I have the co-host of all co-hosts. I get to sit next to a dynamic individual, and I will let them introduce themselves now.
Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for being here because listen, it is rainy, it's nasty outside on this Thursday. You could be anywhere else, but you decided to be here with us, and we are super grateful. Before I introduce myself, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend because all those numbers and all that interaction matters in this space. So, my name is Latoya. I am a licensed professional counselor. I'm an author. Let's see, what are my little things? So I am Jeff's wife, aka them kids' mama. Yeah. Oh, Jeff has a show on the BS3 network. Also, it is called This Dope Cooking Show, and it comes on Tuesdays at 5:30. Be sure to check that out. Now, listen, you're gonna be
Tuesdays at
hungry.
5:30.
You're gonna be hungry, but watch it anyway.
Yeah,
Um, what else?
yeah,
Disclaimer.
yeah.
So before we get into our topic, let me give you our little disclaimer. So Eric and I will be speaking from our perspective, our education, our experiences, our background, things that we've been through. We are not talking about our current life situation unless we say, this is currently happening to me. Also, no one called us before the show and told us your business. And so we are not talking about your business either. And we also know that your sister's cousin, homegirl, had the same situation, but they didn't tell us. We're not talking about her. We love her and we're glad that it worked out for her. Okay.
Indeed, indeed. And if anyone else if you see um, some static or some freezing of the frame, we'll just apologize ahead of time. So if I lock up, freeze, you can't hear me, or the volume and the sound kind of is off, we just apologize. Just hang with us. It tends to get better as we go. So what we're going to do is move forward, and we're going to kind of reveal the topic. I'm interested to get into this. Have some thoughts on it. Um, and this affords me to go into a little research about, different societal ideals and thoughts, topics that come up. And tonight, one of the topics we're going to go that we titled, there it is, Brotherhoods, Sisterhoods. Is it the missing link? And I know what you're thinking. What link are you talking about, Eric? Well, that's important. As we have conversations and discussions throughout the night, I think it will slowly and evidently come up to the link and the importance of the conversation. So, I've learned this from Doc, we can't do anything without definitions. Because as she would say, because we may talk about brotherhood and sisterhood. Now you may have one idea and definition of brotherhood and sisterhood, and then if we're talking and you don't know what I'm talking about, then we really just had a discussion that really don't matter anything. I think I did a good rendition right there, and I find it to be so important. So I'm getting better. I tell you, I got the co-host of our co-host, man. So with that being said, we're going to start off with the definitions of brotherhood and sisterhood. That'll kind of guide us into the conversation about some of the differences of those, and then that'll lead us into the deeper conversation. All right. So just to kind of head it off, and listen, I'm not starting with one versus the other. This is not a battle. This is not a battle against genders or anything like that. So come on, let's keep it on the high level there. Let's do that. But I'm going to start with brotherhood. So the definition of brotherhood, and I looked at several, and then of course pulled something from my own soul. But from a technical standpoint, brotherhood refers to the relationship or bond between brothers, or more broadly, a sense of solidarity and fellowship among a group of people. It encompasses feelings of mutual support, loyalty, and camaraderie. The term is often used to describe close knit communities or groups who share common values, goals, or experiences, and is fostering a deep sense of connection and mutual aid. Brotherhood implies a commitment to each other's well being and the collective success of a group or of the group. Sisterhood refers to the bond or relationship between sisters, or more broadly, a sense of solidarity and mutual support among women. It embodies the principle of friendship, loyalty, and shared purpose. Sisterhood often denotes a strong sense of connection and unity among women, whether through familial ties, shared experiences, or common goals. It involves supporting one another, advocating for each other's well being, and working together to achieve collective empowerment and success. And I'll pause there, Doc, just to see if there is any input, feedback, redirection you'd like to make.
So I feel like the definitions were so close, yet they felt different. And listen, feelings are not facts. Just because you feel a way does not, I mean, feelings are not facts. But I feel like the definition of sisterhood, it felt a little bit more emotional, or like, oh, I love you, we're sisters. Whereas the brotherhood definition kind of felt more, I feel like masculine is a cop out of a word to say, but that's the word that's coming to my mind right now. So that's the word I'm gonna go with. But I also
Okay.
like that for sisterhood, it talked about working together for a common bond. And I thought that was nice because it feels like women, I know society would have us thinking that we don't like each other or whatever, but we've had to work together to come up, that pay gap, all that. So I did appreciate that in the definition.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna have guests on about that pay gap thing, because right now I've already was like, you say, you don't want to use the word masculine, and I think it's okay to use the word masculine. I mean, it really has a definition. It has its place in society. Now, has it been beat up a little bit? It's been vilified to some degree, but I think falsely, and because there's a place for everything, and that does masculinity definitely gives you the contrast of femininity. You have to have,
Mhm.
you want to be able to define and identify a thing, and I don't think any not one is weak or less than the other. It just is the thing that it is to describe the thing that it's describing. So I think that was a great
So hold on. I want to say something. Hold on, let me jump in.
choice on that.
Um,
But you go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of times we are trying to put um masculinity against femininity, or men against women, or one is better. And I don't think that they are better or worse than the other. I think that they are by design different. And I think the differences
Mhm.
complement one another. And so I wish there was more of like a collective conversation around how it's just different. It's like we're not mad at a banana for not being an orange, so we're not
Right,
going to be mad at masculine for
right,
not being feminine. Like it's just different. And so I think that's
right,
also
right.
important to note.
Sound like we and I think we've kind of covered and talked about that. I think in a different direction, maybe under a different light. Um, but I encourage the viewers, if you from that point, you can definitely go back
Hmm.
to our previous shows, and I think it's masculinity versus femininity is the title of that, and kind of go into that. But Doc made a great point and talked about kind of highlighted the nuances or the differences. So while both brotherhood and sisterhood refer to close supportive relationships um, among members or group, there are nuanced differences shaped and impacted by, I think, influenced by the social, um, culture, and gender specific factors. And again, no attack on anyone. Um, and we'll just we'll keep rolling and give Doc a chance. So I'm going to talk about some of the nuances and the differences, and hopefully Doc will return to us here pretty quickly. Um, Let me talk about some other aspects of that, and these are just things that I kind of found on my research in regarding that. So some of the things I wanted to highlight, I think the importance of how it impacts society as a whole. So the importance of the camaraderie, the companionship, and the sense of a strong community, and it actually shapes people's lives, which is was the interesting thing for me in regard to um, brotherhood and sisterhood, or basically that the collectivity of it for each individual, but also us as a collective. And there she is, back in the building.
It's
And Doc,
storming
I didn't
here,
go too.
and so I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
I
I
do not
know. No,
control
I
the
know.
internet. I apologize.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy because I was looking at the weather, and in some areas is a little more active, and some areas is not so much. So, but we're gonna fight through it. We're gonna fight through it, Doc. So the continuation on what we were talking about, some of the nuances um, that changes, or the nuances between brotherhoods and sisterhoods. So
Okay.
and so it was a lot of information there. Um, and Doc, if you see the comments, just go ahead. You can knock out the comments if you want to, but
Okay, we
I'll
only
get
got
to them in
two.
a
We
second.
got
But
two, so let's just hit them.
okay,
So Jay Gilliard says, "Welcome
all
to the
right.
comments." Hey, Jay Gilliard, this dope cooking show, all the things.
Hey,
Mr.
yeah,
Short says, "Good
yeah,
evening, everyone." Good evening, Mr. Short. Glad to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Okay, that's it.
always, man. Yeah, now I know he's gonna be laughing because I'm always excited when he hit the building. He always hit the building, so he's gonna give us something in a minute. And so as I was saying, we're just going to kind of go through the nuances and the differences, and then the key points that shape those differences are like the social, cultural, and gender specific factors of a brotherhood and sisterhood. Don't be mad at me. We're really more messengers, and we will give some of our insight, but don't be too angry. But it's okay to be angry. So with brotherhood, and let me explain it this way. So I picked out like about five elements that kind of kept coming up, like traditional perceptions of either brotherhood or sisterhood, the group dynamics, the cultural expectations, the social roles, and the expression of those groups. And so when we're talking about the nuance and differences, so for brotherhoods, the traditional perceptions are often associated with qualities such as loyalty, camaraderie, and protection. Whereas for the sisterhood, in regarding traditional perceptions, often associated with, don't be mad at me, y'all, nurturing, empathy, and mutual support. So those were
I
the
think that,
things that
but
kept coming up.
I feel like that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like the sisterhood definition that you gave us was a little bit more emotional. When you think
Hmm.
of nurturing, you think of caring for, loving on, you think of emotions. You don't necessarily think of like the logic or the providing aspect. So I feel like that goes hand in hand. But I have a better question. Why is brotherhood and
Right.
sisterhood so important? That is a better question that I pose to you, dear
Yeah.
intellect.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely. I believe, and it really makes me want to ask a question, but that would shine light on it. But the importance of it, because that no great thing, no great feat is ever, no great achievement is ever, um, no great thing is ever achieved alone. And if we think about every aspect of life, there's nothing that has been really accomplished or created um, without camaraderie. As we go throughout the conversation and some of the information I gathered, it's really about when you need something. Think about the worst times that you've been in, or whether it's emotional, financial, physical. It's always your support group, people around you. It's kind of really how you survive. So whether it's a brotherhood or a sisterhood, or maybe mixed up, it could be a female that's your friend or that's in your group, your core group.
Mhm.
They are pivotal in you just um, being okay. And I think without it, I think you would be able to speak in this a little bit more. I think it's very damaging and it causes, I would say, even irreparable damage to not have that community or to be lonely, so to speak.
I'm gonna give a shorter answer because that's kind of who I am. But I think that
Mhm.
brotherhood and sisterhood is very important, and I agree with everything you said. The way I would sum it up, though, is that we are humans and we are designed to be in community. And without that sense of community, there are implications for your mental health, for your physical health, for your financial well-being, for your emotional well-being. And so I think it's important to just have that sense of community. That's how I would say. But I feel like
Yeah,
you
I
said
mean,
that too.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but I like to walk around the pond, pick a couple of flowers, skip a rock across the lake. You skied right over that
I'm
joker,
going
you know what I'm
straight to
saying?
it.
You
Like
swoop.
I'm just like, and this is what we're doing. Yeah. Some people
Yeah,
say that's like a
yeah,
negative or like a
no, I mean,
downside of
and
it.
no, I mean, you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
really.
Yeah. I've been told
Well,
that I'm too direct.
we all have our yeah, we all have our community. We all have our community, you know what I mean? But it's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's just different than someone else would convey it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I agree.
Has anybody ever told you they love your directness?
Yeah. Lots of
There
people.
you go. Of course, that's what I'm saying. Your tribe will find you.
Well, I always tell people it's a gift and a curse. Like we're not gonna waste no time. We're gonna get into it. But I feel like sometimes I could like dial it
Right.
back a little bit, gift and a curse. And I feel like the people who it's for and the people that's
Hey,
gonna get this healing, the people it's gonna resonate with, they're gonna appreciate it. And then the people who are kind of like, oof, she could have said it different. Well, or bro, somebody else is saying it different, and it's okay. Everybody likes what they
right,
like.
right.
Everybody can have their
Everybody
own
likes what they
preferences.
like.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I've been known to be a bit loquacious, but a gift and a curse. Some love it,
Yeah,
some don't.
yeah. Fun fact: my sister's line
That's
name
it.
is
So
Loquacious
I almost want to ask why they name her loquacious because I don't want to
because
make
she
no
does not
assumptions.
talk. Nope, she doesn't talk. My
Because
sister's
she
very much
does.
an introvert.
That's fun. That's
Mhm.
very cool. That was cool. Okay, I see what they did there. I see what
Yeah.
they did there. That's good. Um, Great question, Doc. As we were talking about some of the nuances and the differences, we were talking about traditional perceptions, but like the
Mhm.
group dynamics, and I'll speed it up because I know Doc has some poignant questions she'd like to impose to me and the group, of course. But saying that the group dynamics for brotherhoods, it's typically seen In the male dominated groups like fraternities, military units, or sports teams. Whereas for the sisterhood, it's commonly found in female dominated groups like sororities, women advocacy organizations, or support groups. Uh, I'm gonna take some people's thunder. We understand there are female sports teams, there are female military personnel, um, and there are sororities, which would be similar to fraternities for men. Um, but I think they're just looking at it as the group dynamics from a typical and very high from a 30,000 foot view. Any
So here's the
comments on
thing
those
about
guys?
that. Yeah, I feel like that doesn't even need to be said because of course there's going to be camaraderie or brotherhood or sisterhood in places that we crowd or gather often. So if we're in a sorority and we
Mhm.
are not chanting and worshiping Greek gods, we're just trying to figure out who's little nappy headed child we're going to give a scholarship to. We're just trying to figure out what kind of service and scholarship we could do. But I feel like if we're always there doing that thing, the brotherhood and the sisterhood is gonna come. Like, so if we're in the military and we're like training and we're going to battle, of course there's a sense of connection there. So I just kind of feel like they should have went a little deeper with their study and been like, oh, brotherhood is found at the
Mhm.
barbershop. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the places that they picked were obvious. Of course, like the definition of sorority, like we call them my sorority sister. So of course it's gonna be some sisterhood.
And yeah, and brotherhood is definitely a key word within. I was trying to see if that was going to come through because I think you went silent, Doc. Unfortunately. Um, and then the next element was cultural expectations. So for the brotherhood, the cultural expectations may emphasize toughness, competitiveness, and um, solidarity in facing external challenges. Whereas on the
Mm.
sisterhood, cultural expectations may focus on emotional support, empowerment, and collaboration to overcome social challenges. I figured this would stir the pot a little bit.
Well, no, I mean, I think that women have had more social challenges to overcome than men. So, of course, our like sisterhood is going to encompass that. Like, we used to couldn't work, and then like pay gap, like just all the things that women experience. Of course, we would have to work together to create societal change. To me, that seems like spot on. And then for the men discussing you didn't say toughness, but for whatever reason, that's what's coming to my mind. Toughness.
No, I did
Um,
toughness,
you said
competitiveness, and
toughness.
solidarity in
Okay.
facing, yeah, external challenges. Yeah,
Y'all like ain't nobody coming in my house. I'm about to be tough and competitive
which which
and
which
protect this
which is
space.
a great segue because yes, and which is a great segue into the social roles that they talk about brotherhood. And the more I looked at, I was like, okay, brotherhood and sisterhood, they really just talking about the social culture expectations, traditional perceptions, social roles, expressions of men and women. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, but I'm gonna do the due diligence and go through it. But with the social roles for brotherhoods or historically linked to roles where men are seen as protectors and providers, and for the sisterhood, historically linked to roles where women are seen as caregivers and community builders.
Mm-hmm.
That sound would that come across too misogynistic? I guess.
Not to me. I mean, you got to think about what it means to be a community
Good.
builder. Like, if you think about,
I know,
let's
man.
go back to
That's the
like Black Panthers. Like there were women in the Black Panther movement. Who you think was making the breakfast for the children when they had their little free breakfast? You know what I'm saying? So like, it doesn't feel misogynistic to me, but a lot of things don't that people say are.
okay.
So I'm not sure that I am the authority on that. But I feel like if you really look at what it means to be a community builder, I don't see a man, I see a woman.
Yep, I do too. Like as much as men or like women are foundational, women are the stability of the world. I think um, women represent the bones and the concrete of stuff, then you can get something done with with a collective, with when women are in a collective. And I'll stop there. I'm just saying, yes, women are very, very important. Community builders are important. And then lastly, and then we'll be able to kind of swim a little freely. The last is the expression of brotherhood. Brotherhood bonds might be expressed through like shared activities, rituals, and a collective identity. And then it says for sisterhoods, expression, sisterhood bonds may be expressed through emotional sharing, collective action for social change, and fostering inclusive environments. Which you mentioned that, Doc. I think throughout you because it's almost like you see the light before we get to the place.
I think that's also a gift and a curse.
It is. I mean, I'm telling you, yeah. I'd be like, oh, she knows all this already. Yeah, that's good. But here the thing is, the most important thing is really, and it'll move to what kind of your original question about what do we think the importance of it is. So the commonalities here. So this is really not about the separation of brotherhood and sisterhood, but the importance of that, the commonalities, and then how that spreads out into our community, into our society as a whole. So the commonalities of them, they're both support systems. They're both shared. It's really having that idea of having shared goals, and then also strong bonds. So when you have support systems, they can provide that emotional, social, and sometimes financial support to their members. Quoting
Mhm.
Doc earlier, she had already pulled it out the hat and waved it. And then the shared goals, it helps you focus on achieving common objectives, whether they're personal development or group successes or societal impact. Um, and I'd be remiss to say, resilience and being able to recover from, like, if there's an individual element that happens to you, having that brotherhood or sisterhood is a key element in repair and rebuilding. And then the bonds that they create, they both involve deep, meaningful connections that foster a sense of belonging and identity. And I think it is as important as life and death in a sense.
I don't know about life and
And I'm
death.
pausing so I won't be so.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't. Life
no,
and death
that's
seems kind of.
yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know. I would like to hear more about the life and death part. Like, I understand why isolation and loneliness
Excellent.
can be detrimental to like your mental health and all that. Like, I get that, but life and death is
Hmm.
wild
Hmm.
unless we're saying the person is 100% isolated. Now, 100% isolated, yes, life and death. But just a person who may be like a loner or has a smaller community or a smaller circle, I'm not sure that I rock with the whole life or death. Like, that seems like a lot.
Gotcha. And where my sentiments come from, really from a different project and a different conversation and circle I was in, which was like a brotherhood, so a men's group. It's because if you look at the statistics, and Doc, you probably know them better than I do, of like suicidal rates of men, it's so high. But for many factors, I think some of the social pressures or not having that brotherhood, not having that support. Because even when you're down, having someone to say, no, it's going to be all right, it's going to be good. And it can show you the way, give you, be an example. And I'm talking about from a brotherhood standpoint. It can it be helpful from a community standpoint? Absolutely. And we've definitely got examples where a strong woman has been able to bring, take the ashes of a man and bring him and bring him back to prominence within himself and then externally out into the community. But that loneliness is a very keen element when you don't have guidance, direction. If we look at our current society, how young men, the statistics of young men that grow up without a father, the places that they end up in, prisons or dead, in the wrong environments, making the wrong decisions, not evolving into the great entities that they are. So I may be for shock value because we're on here for that a little bit. You definitely want to catch people's attention. I raise it up to that level of, it may not be a physical death, but it could be a mental, it could be a spiritual, or it could be a potential death, a death of potential and capabilities. So that's why I said it in that, and as well as physical death.
Okay. So I'm with you on that ish. But I think that the bigger thing is like, do men know how to give that type of emotional brotherhood that you're talking about? I'm not saying that they don't. I know some very emotionally intelligent men. I know some men who know that they're not emotionally intelligent and they come see me once a week and we working on it. So I'm not saying that they can't. I'm simply saying when in the brotherhood, because nothing about the definitions that you gave said I can come in here and be vulnerable and show my soft side. Like nothing about the words that you used said that or evoke that type of emotion, right? So you're
I
saying
already listen,
as a
y'all.
man,
I don't have to open up. I don't even have to open up the doors.
yeah, so you saying like as a man, you know, they got to have brotherhood because they got to have a place to be and a place to put their stuff and blah blah blah. But do men provide other men with that type of support? Like, is it really a safe place? Like people saying, "Come talk to me, tell me when you feeling bad." But I know men who have went to other men and been like, "I'm in a bad place," and they like, "Oh man, that sucks." So you want to go? That sucks. Like that's it. That's how you got. So Do men know how to do that? I'm
Uh,
asking some.
I would say collectively, and in the numbers that we need them, absolutely not. Hence my wanting to have this conversation, bringing up points, ones we talked about the importance of it, from a high level, how important it can be, and then you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, you just gave some examples of like how it can be detrimental in that sense, and so I think that's why the conversation is so important. Like, there's a lot of things that we want in our community, and let's keep it 100. We talk about community with those who have a certain level of melanin within their skin, and a certain and special, unique tip of the spear, first in line, everything falls from us type of DNA. And so with our community, the pitfalls that we have, I think true brotherhood, the community, the collective, the move to collectively move to work, make decisions, and invest to get to the places that will make us healthy and whole are linked to being in healthy brotherhoods and sisterhoods. So my answer is no, it's not there, because if it was, we would have different results. And the results that we have now, the examples that we have, the things that we're experiencing now, answer the question for us. It's not there. We have too many guys that buy into, I think, and I'll say it, buy into the program European mindset of just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Man, life ain't that. It ain't black and white. It's gray. And you need to have a balance of empathy. And there is a way to, what we call it, Doc, constructive criticism.
Mhm.
That constructive criticism, yeah, I'm gonna call you out on what you need to do. I'm gonna hold you accountable, but damn, I'm not gonna tell you trash and you sorry because you didn't accomplish something. And
Mhm.
because you didn't already know. You don't know what you don't know. So let
Mhm.
me help you get there. And that's not prominent. And I would challenge and say, do you think, and I will pose the question back to you, do you think sisterhood is in place where that type of accountability, empathy to come together and bring the best out of their sisters is in place?
So a couple of things. You said bootstraps, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I hate that because what if I don't
I
have
know.
boots?
I
I hate
know.
that
That's why I
so
said
bad
it. Yeah.
because
That
what if
yeah.
I don't have boots? And
Right.
then also, I don't really like, I'm gonna call you out on it because that feels combative. And if you are trying to hold me accountable and you're giving me constructive criticism, it shouldn't be combative. But we all know a call out can be combative, like
Absolutely.
9.5 times out of 10. So just that. Now, do I think that level of sisterhood? I think if men are at a 50, women are at a 75, but I definitely don't think we're at the 100. And the only reason I say we're at a 75 is because based on your definitions and the things that you said, like all of ours was about being nurturing and being together and working together for social change and being community builders and stuff like that. So I would say that we're ahead of the guys, but I'm not sure that it's at 100%. I mean, absolutely not. We still got people sleeping with people's husbands. What type of sisterhood is that? So no.
So that's why I'm like 75%. You so generous with y'all group. You
Well, I
so
said if
generous.
you're at 50, we at 75. But if y'all are at 60, then that makes us, you know what I'm saying? I ain't want to start y'all too low. I ain't want to be like, y'all at 30, we at 50. Cause that would have been mean. But we ahead of the game. We just not where we should be.
Listen, it, y'all are not ahead of the game. Absolutely, unequivocally
We
not.
absolutely are ahead of the game. But it's okay.
No,
I think we
no.
are, yes,
Well,
because we are a little bit
hold
more
on.
emotionally aware.
Help me understand how. And I'm talking about my beautiful, exquisite, special Black women as a collective. How are they ahead of the game in the elements about sisterhood from a social standpoint, from expectational standpoint? Let's say from an actional standpoint. How help me understand how they're ahead of the game.
Because women can come together to make things move quicker than men can.
Well, that's kind of cheating off your design and your position in place anyway.
I mean, based on your definition, we won anyway. So I'm not really sure why you trying to challenge it, but maybe you're just trying to get me rattled. I'm not gonna rattle, but we could talk about it. Like based on your definition, we won.
We can talk about it. No, that's what we're here. That's why we're here. But I'll read the comments. Jeff Short says, I agree it shouldn't be a call out, but a pull your coattail type interaction.
And I
Absolutely.
absolutely love this because words matter. Words evoke emotion and words have connotations, even if we don't know. Right. And so if something has a negative connotation, then I'm already on the defense. I'm already mad because you're like, well, let me call you out on that. Well, don't you ever feel like you got to call me out. But if it's more like, hey, let me pull your coattail to this, or come here, let me put a bug in your ear about this, something like that, people are just more open. And I think the words that we use set the tone for the conversation that we're about to have. And if you're trying to critique me or tell me that I'm wrong, first of all, nobody likes that. Nobody likes to have their character
Nobody.
questioned. Nobody likes to be
Nobody.
told they didn't do it
Nobody.
right. No, nobody
Nobody.
likes that. And then to do it in front of people, you
There you
you you
go.
want to fight.
There you
Like
go.
that, you want to
There you
fight.
go.
So I feel like it's very important when we're trying to be there for one another. And accountability is a big thing. And I tell my friends, we're gonna have a conversation about it once, but I'm not gonna beat you over the head about your decisions, right? And if I can't say, sis, you might be tripping, we're not friends. And if you can't say to me,
Not friends.
like my friend told me the other day,
We're
she was
not
like, "Oh,
friends.
Toy, you was wrong." I said, "What?" But yeah, like if we're friends, you have to be able to hold me accountable, and I have to be able to hold you accountable. But she did it in such a sweet way. You know what I'm saying? Like the message was very well received. I didn't feel like I had to be like, but this, but that, but this. Because when people get defensive, they start feeling like they have to explain. And when you feel yourself starting to over explain, just stop. Just
Just
shut up
stop.
and be like, if I gotta say all this to prove my point, maybe I am wrong.
That's good.
Yeah.
Y'all taking that in? That was a take out your notes moment right there. But Doc, you hit like that was the best thing you talked about saying it in front of people. I think you have to be mindful, man. Never embarrass a person. I'm gonna speak more pointedly from a man's point of view. You never want to be embarrassed in front of any other people or be belittled in front of other people. And as much as we have been programmed to not show emotion, act like we don't even have any emotions, like we don't, like our feelings can't be hurt, or we're okay with being ridiculed and we don't show anything. That I almost cussed. That's a bunch of BS. Um, and with that being said, you always want to show grace. Like, what is your purpose? Because when you do that, trying to help me, you're not even really trying to hold me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, if
Mm-hmm.
you have to belittle me, I don't give a damn what I did. You can always pull me to the side and say, "Hey, man, I don't agree with that. I'll hear some other ideas, or what were you thinking when you made that decision, or what were you trying to get done? But hey, but do you see the damage?" And kind of walk people through that. I think that's the real
Mm-hmm.
purpose of holding people accountable, and doing things in a way that will have an output of what I like to call good fruit. In my opinion, you want to have good fruit. So embarrassing someone, because with men, which, as Doc said poignantly, you're gonna get a violent response. Because instead of crying, instead of saying, "Man, that hurt my feelings," and embarrassing themselves more, let me go ahead and cause a bigger disruption and take the focus off of that. And usually that comes out in a violent way with men. Um, Somebody take note of that, man. You might be, and you could be absolutely right. The individual could definitely be have been in the wrong, conducted themselves in an inappropriate or socially adverse way, but yet and still, there's a time and a place, and in front of other folks, and most importantly, in front of women. You can't do it. It's like you want something to happen if you do that. And then
You want to
those that don't
fight?
have if don't have the strength or the wherewithal to do anything to you physically because you're bigger, stronger, or whatever the case may be, that's why you have individuals that'll go, be quiet, come back later, and then they spraying everything and everybody. You got to be mindful of that. So as we talking about brotherhoods and sisterhoods, that's a definite element we need to keep in mind, is that we really are charged with helping one another. We need to kind of, I think it would, brotherhoods help cultivate what I call Vidal Sassoon circumstances. If you don't look good, then I don't look good. And if we operate in that manner, um, and that's even across the table. Like if my woman doesn't look good, I don't look good. And then and vice versa. If I don't look good, then she don't look good. But you have to own that premise. And I think being in brotherhoods, being in sisterhoods will can promote that from an individual standpoint. And as we want to do here on perspective, we want that to spread out into the community. We want to spread it out into the world. That will spread out into our community, and then that would spread out into the world, and it would make us all better.
I
Y'all know you
agree.
can get the whole of that, but I would just
I
continue
also
with what you were
think
saying.
that, yeah. So I also think that if we can increase our own like capacity for brotherhood and sisterhood on an individual level, it's only going to increase our capacity to be in relationships with each other romantically. Because I feel like those same
Mm,
skills, the empathy, the active listening, the effective communication, like loyalty, all of those same skills that you take from a friendship, is just like friendship on fire when you're in a relationship. So I think learning how to be a good member of your sisterhood or your brotherhood or whatever is only going to increase your capacity to be a good partner.
indeed, indeed, indeed. Doc, do you have any other questions specifically around brotherhood, sisterhood, the hood? No, I couldn't help it. It just came on out.
Nah, I think we beat that dead
So,
horse.
but you've
I
been.
do want to say, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, if you still here, like, comment, share, all the things. Okay, go ahead.
Now you had brought up something, and I don't know, maybe we disagree, and we came to a conclusion. But this would be the antithesis of brotherhood and sisterhood. And as an expert in this area, how dangerous is loneliness?
Very, You want me to elaborate? Okay, so how dangerous is loneliness? Loneliness is very dangerous because you
Say
only
more
have
about
your
that.
own mind to, I got this. You only have your own mind to go off of. So you start to believe your own hype. Nobody's checking you, nobody's holding you accountable, nobody's helping you either, though. So that teaches you I can only use people to get where I'm trying to go. So it's very dangerous. It's detrimental to your mental health because you're isolated. And so like eventually you're just talking to you. We don't need that. It's detrimental to your finances because we know like how do you get ahead? It's not really what you know, it's who you know. That's how people are like, oh yeah, I used to be a teacher and now I'm in tech because they homegirl gave them a referral, not because their resume is so stellar, right? So also you need people
Mhm.
to get ahead in your life. So it can be very detrimental and it can start to just severely impact your mental health and it causes like excess stress, difficulty sleeping. It can be depression, anxiety. So having a community is important, even if your community is small.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I always think about, even if you may be doing well in one space with your individual moves, and if you having some success in some success in some areas, you mentioned this. You say then you start believing your own hype, and you may be off the beaten path and just running full speed in the wrong damn direction. That's important. You got to have.
Exactly.
You can't see the picture when you're in the picture. It's important to have people who are
Mhm.
outside that can see the full picture and see elements that you can't see. Because at minimum, you're putting yourself in a position where someone can come tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you didn't see the lion that was over there, or you didn't see the snake that was right there," because you're in an angle in a position where you can't see it. And so it's important to
Mhm.
have that. And I mean, it doesn't have to. I'm not saying you have to be a part of a large organization. And I think Doc touched on
Right.
this. Even if your group is small, I think it should be
Right.
quality. Now, I would
Mhm.
like for that group to expand because, if we think about a spider web, all of those multiple points. And I think Dr. George Frazier gave an example of this in a speech before. He talked about the black. He was specifically speaking about the black community, and he held up a piece of board and it had dots all on it. He said, "Look at this. All of these individuals. They doing well. They have resources, and they're just plugging away and they're trying to make dreams and goals come together." He said, "If you throw something at this, it'll fall through these cracks." And then he just simply start putting a line and connecting all of the dots on that piece of paper. And by the time you looked at it, it was like a net. And so it was catching it says you can catch more collectively than you can individually. So the importance of brotherhoods and sisterhoods is you will catch more collectively than you will individually. And I think it will help recalibrate people's mentalities too. We got folks that you ain't ish if you ain't got the red bottoms or got certain clothes on and your hair ain't a certain way and you ain't making a certain amount of money. But when you're in a sisterhood and a
Mhm.
brotherhood, then that should prompt you to say, well, if I know where the fountain of youth is, or if I know where the good stuff is, or I know a better way of doing something, why would I not share that with my sisters? Or why would I not share that with my brothers? And then
Right.
them and they be able to rise too. And I
Mhm.
man, and I just have this feeling if that was to be impacted, if that would be practiced more intently and strategically within our community as us, and then collectively and spread out, then the world, and I do think in those big terms, the world will be a better place.
I agree with that. I
Yeah,
think
but
it also looks like your personal community will be better. And then as your community is better, it can get better outside of your community. So, like the ripple effect in the water. So, I agree with that. But I think we
yeah,
all have to make like a collective decision to try. Sometimes people are open for community and seeking sisterhood or brotherhood, and then they get shitted on. And so then they like, nah, I'm better off by myself. I don't want to do, I'm so sorry, Pastor Short. I'm better off by myself. I don't want to do this anymore. So I just feel like we got to be careful. And I think that if everybody is on the same goal and on the same wavelength of like doing better and having community, it would be easier to get done versus you got somebody seeking and they find the wrong thing.
Very true.
Hence
Very
this
true.
comment.
Boom. Mr. J. Gilliard. And I ain't get to give my brother a shout out, man. That's my partner, my homie. And Doc at the beginning of the show said she's Chef Jeff, Chef Jeff's wife, and then that Jeff, and you see that J on front of the Gilliard, so y'all know who that is. He says, "How do you know if you have found the right brotherhood or sisterhood?" You want me to go first, Doc, or are we going to go to
Yeah, you
tradition,
got it.
societal traditions, and say ladies first? Which one? With
No, you got it.
I'm picking, but my answer would be if you're in that group and your participation with them, your camaraderie with them, your activities with them, your experiences with them are bearing what I call good fruit or bearing good results. You're getting better in places you would want to be. You're being assisted and motivated to achieve goals and desires you have. And positive things are happening for you in conjunction with that group, then you found your brotherhood or sisterhood.
I agree, but I would also like to add bearing good fruit over time. Because I think sometimes things start out good and the fruit is cool, and you get so used to the fruit being cool that you start to overlook when the fruit starts to get blemished. You start to overlook that this one might be a little sour because the previous ones were so sweet. So I would add good fruit over time.
I mean, I take that. Um, you know why I like that analogy? One came out of my favorite book. You judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. I mean, I'm definitely not biting into a rotten apple. I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, a nasty watermelon is a nasty watermelon. And if I'm around, if I start seeing bad, bruised tomatoes, the squash ain't squashing, and the tomatoes ain't tomatoing, yeah, we not in the right place. And I think that is because Doc has a point. Things, relationships evolve, and if you're in a group that's not healthily evolving, either with the times or either with you, because I think there's been groups that you're in, you outgrow the group, and then you attach to another group. So as I thought through it and talked through it, I would agree with you, Doc. That is definitely something you have to pay attention to as you get into your group. But as you know yourself, you'll know your group. Like that, we were talking at the beginning of the show. Um, you'll know your tribe. You'll know your tribe will find you. There'll be individuals that really enjoy, the short, direct, poignant communication style of Doc, and it may be some who like the, let's take the winding road type of conversation that I may have. So, it bribe. You'll find your brotherhood or your sisterhood or your group.
I agree with that. And I
Okay.
also would like to
I know
add
we kind of
that
get.
I feel like there's room for both in each sisterhood. Like I feel like there's room for people who like to take the long way around the pond to hang out with and be in community with, or have a little bit more pointed and direct conversation. So
Oh yeah,
they can hook up. It can be cool.
yeah, yeah. No, I think it as y'all see the TBR balance is key. Because there's times where and I'll be, very transparent in this moment. I'll tell Doc, I say, Doc, when I fall off the wagon, I'm running, just jump right on in there. Won't be no offense, won't be nothing, or nothing like that. She'd be like, yeah, but okay, Eric, let's read. And so I just say, you got to do that. So I'm aware of that, especially if it's a topic I'm passionate about, or really want to drive it home. And sometimes I'll say the same thing, but use three different analogies. One analogy was good. It was good. You got your point across. And Doc is great with kind of guiding and cutting me off, and that it's a wonderful thing. So that's a great point to that, because I think some of your groups, and that brings up another thought, Doc, because even being in a group, it's not going to always be everybody's. I think a good element and sign of a good group is that it's not always just an echo chamber. People saying what you
Yeah.
want to hear, agreeing with what you're saying. It really requires some contrast, some critical feedback, and people challenging what you're talking about so that you're thinking about it. And if they see it's not wrong, they're not just signing off on it because you're a part of the brotherhood or the sisterhood.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You can't grow if everybody's like, "Yep, that's a great idea. Yep, that's a good idea. Yep, let's do it like that."
Yeah.
Like, no, the way that you grow, the way that you evolve is to have people around you who are going to encourage you to think more critically and challenge your thoughts and stuff like that. So, I feel like I agree. It can't be a bunch of yes men. People have to be able to express their own thoughts, their own beliefs, and do it constructively. Again, like I really like the pull your coattail example. Constructively always, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So any men that's out here, man, don't get upset, man, if your partner come to you and tell you something you didn't want to hear, call you out on actions that you're taking, and you know it ain't right. Say, man, just I ain't saying you got to follow his instructions, but don't criticize somebody who's really coming and trying to tell you right. To me, that's definitely a part of maturity. And again, different perspectives, different opinions, different points of views, different lived experiences, but just listen. I mean, it's a key element, man. You can listen and you both can walk away and disagree, and still don't see it the same way. But many times, I would say more than not, you're going to walk away with a different, like, okay, I now have a better understanding of why they think that way. And if you really go apply it, you'll see, oh, I got a nice ripe tomato out of that. And then now you can incorporate that into maybe your way. Because at the end of the day, I ultimately think we're all trying to get to the same place, have the same goals, and ultimately be successful. Sorry about that, y'all. We storming, and internets and technology is doing what it wants to do. um, but we're all trying to get to the our goals and the high level of living um, that we would like to be at. And many times you can find that in a countering idea, perspective, lived example that you get having a conversation with somebody you normally would not have a conversation with, because you don't know what you don't know. So at minimum, put yourself in those circles. I would say even in groups that may make you uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, not because it's harming you or damaging you, but being unfamiliar. But you see that they're achieving things that you would like to achieve. Man, that's it's in the spaces of uncomfortability when you really make advancements, and make strides to where you really want to be, or even who you want to be. Um, but in that case, I know that can be easier said than done. But it takes a certain level of fortitude. Mr. J. Giggs said, "Nah, men ain't built like that no more." I got you. I got you, brother. And I think you can confirm or deny, but confirming like men being able to take take the checking, or um, the constructive criticism. But I mean, Pastor Short, he just said, "Hey man, just pull him to the side." Now that's what. Now I'll answer you like this. Um, Jeff. Man, I just know not to do it. I'm not going to do it in front of anyone else. And I typically pose it with questions like, man, what was, what was the reason for that? Or, why did you take that, take that stance or take that avenue um to do A, B, and C. Yeah. So I'm glad I had that on right. And then kind of unfold. And you'll tell very quickly whether this like, yeah, this ain't gonna land well. He ain't even trying to hear it. And then at that point, all you can do is lay back. I'll sow a seed and then, let the Most High do the rest. Has been my approach. And I definitely have been in that situation. And I've been on both sides of that fence, if I had to be 100% honest. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Pastor Short. Appreciate that. But I think it's important. And here's the thing. Doc talked about it. It can be difficult. But here's the thing. I think it's important to do. Because if you care about yourself, you got to care about others. Or I would encourage you to care about others, to care about your community, and to know that you can make a huge fundamental impact in a positive way by generating brotherhoods, creating a brotherhood around your interests, around something that you have a passion about, and invite others into that, and then that will spread out to others. Because anybody you meet, there's what they say is like 6 degrees of separation from everybody. If you hunt hard enough, you're going to be only about 6 degrees of separation from everybody in some way. And I think we should make it a strategic and poignant effort to do that and expand that in a positive way. And Doc, we only got a minute left, and I definitely want you to be able to give your last words and thoughts on the topic.
I agree with everything that you said. I think that heal yourself so that you could be really good in your community, so that we can heal as a collective. Thank you so much for being here. We definitely appreciate you, and we'll do this again next week.
Absolutely. Y'all got questions, any comments, thoughts, you can hit us up on Instagram, on Perspective Pod on Instagram, and then, of course, on our Facebook Facebook group, and anywhere that you see us, just look for it. And then also on the BS3 network, make sure you go check that out. Hit the like button if you would, please, on whatever platform you're on. We truly, truly appreciate it, and it really does matter. If you feel comfortable sharing the show with other people, if you think it may not be for them, but that may be the person next to the person next to the person that you send it to. Not a necessarily thing to go viral, but we definitely would love for people to have this seed maybe sown to think about brotherhood. It would be impactful, and you'd be helping someone, even if you don't know. So with that being said, we really appreciate you for being with us this evening. I think this is an important conversation, so hopefully you walk away with something to be more, more committed to creating those bonds, creating a sisterhood, if that's on your side, or a brotherhood if it's on the other. And we appreciate y'all for being in our brotherhood and sisterhood here on Perspective. So we'll see you next week. Y'all have a great rest of the week and a wonderful weekend. We out.